I met Jack Tirak in 1972. He was recently out of Ithaca College, a great broadcast school in upstate New York. A number of high-profile graduates of that school. David Muir's a graduate of Ithaca, and so is Kelly Gaughan. I don't think Jack's degree was in broadcasting, but I think being around all those folks, he became quite the broadcast aficionado, and I think he brought that to his work in Erie. I met him. I was just starting a sales job. I had just finished up my Gannon degree, and I was off the air after being on-air DJ for about 8 years. And so the two of us locked horns early on because Jack was trying to tell me that this computer he had with the software was going to allow him to tell me what my audience was all about as he manipulated Arbitron information with this new software. I didn't figure it was going to last, but that'll go to show what kind of a pioneer Jack really was. Now, if you fast forward to 1980, Jack and Greg Windle had this wonderful advertising agency. It was one of the biggest. I don't know how you would determine which one it was, but it's certain which one was the biggest in the market. But Jack certainly had a great deal of impact. A number of big accounts, Pepsi-Cola, St. Vincent Hospital, and what's the one I forgot here? Oh, yeah, Marine Bank, now PNC Bank. Big accounts. And in those days, there was just no question that Jack was one of the players in the advertising world. And his great gift, though, was this fascination for broadcast. We often talk to each other that, you know, if I hadn't ended up in broadcasting, I might have ended up in the agency business, and he felt the same way in reverse. So we always had great stimulating conversations. I remember one story when I came to visit Jack at the agency. I noticed him sitting funny behind his desk. And Jack, what's the story? And I look, and now I see a cast. And he says, I tried dabbling with skydiving. I said, skydiving? Jack is just not somebody I envisioned jumping out of a plane. Besides, he was too smart for that. But I don't know, Mary will have to tell you, I don't believe he ever did it again. I think that was his first and last opportunity to do that. So far as I know, he never got out of an airplane after that that wasn't firmly parked on a tarmac somewhere. To talk about Jack, I'm talking about a guy who is extremely honest, a very straight shooter, very, very smart. One of the most hardworking people I know, and he had great instincts for this business. And he had something that is rare, and that is just excellent judgment. One of Jack's great impediments, though, of course, he had these constant ailments. I mean, it seemed like whenever I would ask Jack, how are you, I could always prepare for something other than a short answer. I remember one day asking him, he was always so upbeat. I said, Jack, how do you stay so positive and upbeat in the face of all these ailments that you have? And he says, Bob, and I worked through that a long time ago. I choose to be happy, and that's what I'm going to allow myself to do. A great example in that respect. I remember about 3 months ago, Jack and I were working on a freelance project together. And he mentioned to me that he just bought a ventriloquist dummy on the internet. I said, Jack, a ventriloquist dummy? He says, yeah, it's something I always wanted to do. I said, well, okay. I'm trying to visualize this in my mind. About 3 or 4 weeks later, I'm picking him up for lunch, and I'm getting out of the car, and I see Jack sitting on his front porch with a little man on his lap. And I thought to myself, you know, he really did do this. I'm walking up the driveway, and all of a sudden the little man starts commenting about Erie weather. I guess that image is frozen in my mind because it was absolutely hilarious. And I know that Jack went on to do some gigs at the zoo for kids and what have you. But if you visited the funeral home after Jack's death, you saw that dummy sitting there. It was brand new. It was right out of the box. That's what he told me. I guess my final story about Jack is going to be about when he joined the board at the Achievement Center. I think this typifies the kind of person Jack was. He wanted to get on that board. At the time, the name of the organization was the Erie Crippled Children's Home. And one of the first things Jack wanted to do was to change the name, and he pushed to make that happen. The Erie Crippled Children's Home may have been a statement of fact, but it wasn't a statement of hope. And I think what he did there, just in terms of shifting image and changing that name, did an awful lot for a lot of kids with disabilities. Jack was my good friend, and I sure miss him.
I've known Jack Tirak for probably about 30 years. I worked at the Erie Daily Times for that amount of time, and I can remember, I think it was back in the early 70s, first time I talked to him on the telephone. And I was a cub reporter. I remember being somewhat intimidated. I thought he would be hard-bitten. And he wasn't hard-bitten, he was just very professional. And from time to time, I'd talk to him, and we'd talk about nothing or everything or news stories, and weren't quite friends up until about the last maybe 4 years. And at that time, I was doing a blog called Heart Attack Jack, trying to help people who had had heart attacks cope with what was to come and what they would be going through. And Jack was doing his blog, Erie Media Go Round. He called me up after he read mine and was very encouraging, which is what I really like about the guy, is that he liked my blog. So at that point, we started a ritual of going to Panera's on the west side for breakfast every morning at about 9 o'clock. And that was something that I really enjoyed and I greatly miss. One thing I want to say is, Jack Tirak, I really miss you. I miss those breakfasts, and I miss the time we spent, and I think about it often. I can't tell you how often I do think about it. Of course, at this point you're saying, you just did tell us, Jack, because you were not just a good salesman, you were a good editor. And I always appreciated that. I appreciated the help you gave me. This is a hard thing to do because I feel like Jack is looking over my shoulder, enjoying the heck out of this as I'm sitting here squirming. This is the last thing in the world I expected to be doing, and I'm sure it's the last thing he expects to be seeing from up there. But it's my pleasure to be speaking on his behalf because I've never known a finer human being. Jack loved his blog, and he even posted on it the day before he died. As a matter of fact, I believe that he posted on it the morning he died. And I imagine if there's a blog up there, he's posting on it still. I imagine he's still reading Erie blogs, that's for sure. He always kept up with, no matter what, with the media. It wasn't just a blog to Jack, it was an estate, a fourth estate. Jack was a one-man news outlet, as any of you in the media might know. Many times Jack broke a news story before anybody else did. And when he did break a story, people paid attention. It wasn't unusual for a story to break in Jack's blog, especially about the media, and for the electronic or print media to pick it up afterwards. That was pretty much par for the course. When Jack Tirak broke a story, everybody paid attention. Jack once told me that in 1 week alone, he had a circulation of 44,000 hits. That's 44,000 individual readers in 1 week. That's enough for a newspaper. That's formidable. That's Jack Tirak. Most of the Erie media, both print and electronic, read Jack's blog. Whether they admit it or not, a good many got story ideas from him, and a good many posted comments on the blog anonymously. Jack and I would often talk about that. I was sort of against the anonymous angle, but he'd say, you know, Jack, a lot of these people that are posting on my blog are from the news media, and if I revealed their names, they couldn't speak the truth. So I'm opting to go anonymous, get the posts, and get the truth out there. And I had to agree that was the best way to go. As a matter of fact, I made several anonymous posts myself, which, in retrospect, I'm glad I kept anonymous. As I said before, every Tuesday about 9 o'clock, Jack and I would meet at Panera's for coffee. It always amazed me how chipper and upbeat he was despite his physical condition. But his diabetes didn't get him down. His heart problems didn't get him down. The nosebleeds didn't get him down. Bleeding from the eyes didn't get him down. The pain didn't get him down. Nothing got him down. Jack was never down. He was always encouraging. So sometimes on Tuesdays, I'll still go to Panera's at 9 a.m. I'll have a cup of coffee, and I'll have coffee with Jack.